Maybe we'll put this at the beginning of the video. You ready to do the intro bit?
I'm ready. What are you doing?
Did you know that like over half the people that are watching this video are not subscribed?
What? Well, what are they doing then? Are they just not subscribing?
They should be subscribing so that they know when our videos come out, right?
I heard when you subscribe, you earn at least 2 times as more King of Games per year than you normally do.
Wow. What's up, everybody? Circus here, coming at you with this week's Rye Report. It's an interesting week, or is it? We're just kind of in a holding pattern, I think, until the next ban list comes out. What do you think, Rye?
Yeah, pretty much. We obviously a lot of tournaments didn't happen over the weekend because of Casey Cup. We did have Battle Phase Monday happen over a Battle Step because of burnout, and we didn't have a Battle Phase EU because Mythyard's recovering from surgery. Feel better, Mythyard. So we're probably going to talk a little bit more about KC Cup in this Rye Report, kind of introduce that a little bit, and probably just talk about pretty much the few tournaments that we have had in the few days that we've had post KCC.
I think what we're watching right now on the screen is our last tournament before KC Cup, and this is Battle Phase Rising Sun with Kamel. So this was last Thursday, almost a week ago. As you guys know, we always take the weekend off of KC Cup because everybody's playing KC Cup and they don't want to play in tournaments. And then usually that Monday, they still don't feel like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. So
that whole week, especially if you've competed hard, you're just like, all right, I'm closing the app until the next ban list.
Yeah, after you play 500 games in 3 days, you're done.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing on everyone's mind coming out of the KC Cup is what deck is going to be performing well in tournaments, right? Because last KC Cup, the Desperado deck came out huge because the only thing to stop it was Casitas, and back then the only thing that made Casitas was Berry Magician Girls, and Berry Magician Girls, for lack of a better term, sucked really bad. So
yeah, they didn't make it very well. They could make it, but maybe not very well.
It wasn't like the greatest. So people started realizing, yeah, Desperado is the key. What came out this time?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Stick Seraph chair, whatever you want to call it, Dark Lords, the stick Dark Lords, the chair Dark Lords, whatever you want to call them, Seraph Dark Lords.
Killing me.
They won Battle Phase Monday. Granted, Battle Phase Monday was a bit lower in representation in terms of who played during that day, but the games themselves, the quality of the games themselves, that deck was really dominant.
Well, usually that's a pay-to-enter tournament, but because of KC Cup, we were paying people to enter the tournament. That's how hard up we were for participants. Yeah, so. No, I mean, seriously, it was just low because, KC Cup burnout. But Darklords,
still like 110 people. That's still like
that's still pretty good. It's about half what we usually see. But I mean, Darklords, really, I'm just that was the meta where I think I said Rye. I'm done. You're now doing Battle Phase.
Yeah, that's.
I couldn't take it anymore.
It is a faster version of Dark Lords. So we're not seeing the deck people out Dark Lords, at least not yet. Maybe in the future. It is going to be harder for that to happen in today's version of Duel Links because of just better trap cards in general, as well as hand traps. I'm thinking things like DD Crow, very, very powerful against Dark Lords. Things like Fiendish Chain, very powerful as well. Just, Karma Cut, just in general, cards like that are just significantly stronger than what we had back then to deal with the Dark Lord menace, if you will. So it's not going to be as bad if they take over.
Were they XZing at all?
Yeah, with the Star Seraph, right, itself.
Yeah.
It made the Exceeds. That's kind of like the power behind it. So kind of a breakdown of what the deck's doing, and I'm sure we'll have like a full video. With Perf
already in the works.
There you go, perfect. But basically the idea is you use Mokuba with See You Later. He's able to pick up a card off the field with See You Later. So if you play the Star Seraph build with the Hall of the Valhalla, the Hall of Valhalla says if you have no monsters on the board, you can special summon a fairy monster from your hand. The Dark Lords are all fairy monsters. Your Star Seraph cards are all fairy monsters. So you're kind of seeing where these things go. The Star Seraph Scepter, you play them, lets you search a card. And if you have the chair in your hand, you get to summon it. So the combo is if that's not what you have, right? You play your Star Seraph, you add the chair, you see you later, bring the Star Seraph back, activate your Hall of Valhalla. It lets you actually do the combo because now you can summon it again and you can go into your combo. If you go turn 1, you go the Ouroboros. I don't remember if it was you or Kamel or in PDS we were talking about Ouroboros, but that card was super underrated when the selection box was kind of revealed. Crazy Exceed cards. You go first, rip a card out of your opponent's hand. That is ridiculous when you only start with 4 cards.
Right.
In this game.
It's just evil.
And, a lot of decks, like, for example, let's say Noble Knights, right? Unless you're hitting a card like the trap card until Noble Arms are needed again, everything else is probably going to just stop them from playing the game.
Oh, can you imagine they're playing balance? Yep. They get one spell equip and they're handing you yoink
it. We saw that. We saw it against they did it against Gaga, right? They I believe it was in the finals. I don't remember if it was finals or semifinals. I don't remember where it was, but he hit the Gaga wind out of the hand. And then followed up with disruption on the Gaga sister because he knew they only play one wind. If you hit the sister, that's it. There's nothing else. That's usually the follow up if something happens to sister. You hit them with the Gaga wind, and you're usually fine in that deck. Not to mention that even if they got through everything, the Dark Lord defenses are just so strong that the automats need to deal with the Dark Lords outside of just swinging into them. So that was kind of a problem. So yeah, the Dark Lord deck, it does really, really well against both Noble Knights, automats, Thunder, all the decks that are good in the game right now. It does well against all those.
Well, you got to get that banishment out of there, right? That's the whole thing.
So that's kind of the combo itself, the Star Seraph combo. Why you don't see it being used a lot is it's very, very bricky, right? The thing is, though, if you have Ixchel to draw 2 cards, and if you have Banishment of the Dark Lords, you basically have 4 chances to draw that Ixchel for a free draw 2. And within, if you're able to get any combination of the Star Seraph cards or the Star Seraph plus Valhalla, you're gonna get your Ouroboros turn 1. So it's more consistent than you think it would be. But obviously, if you just don't open up the combo, or if you go second and your combo gets disrupted through you being able to use the skill, and before you're able to do anything too crazy with your Dark Lord cards, that's also a problem for the deck as well that we've kind of seen. So it's not like the super unbeatable deck, coming out, but it is really, really strong.
It won the first tournament after the KC Cup. I mean, maybe people just weren't ready for it because I'm guessing from what I heard, the Dark Lord deck was more at the higher end of the KC Cup. So if you were playing anywhere outside of whatever the top 100, top 500, you might not have even have seen it.
It was first place, and then if you look through DLM put the top 100. If you look through, you saw a couple of other ones for sure. You even saw like Star Seraph Stick Dark Magician, which has a similar strategy with the Dark Magical Circle, allowing if you don't get a Dark Magician card, you get to see the top 3 cards in your deck, right? So you can rearrange them. Say you draw your Star Seraph when you draw your cards. That's kind of like the combo, right? The Star Seraph Stick lets you draw cards when it pops things, so you can kind of see what's coming up in your deck. Like, I'm gonna rearrange it so when I draw you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like whatever card you want out of your deck. So it's an interesting engine. PDS talked about how it took over TCG when it came out in TCG. So as we get stronger engines, I guess, because the Dark Lord engine, that's really what's being used as, right? It's being used as an engine.
The draw engine.
Yeah, essentially to get into the Star Seraph cards because they're playing very, very light on the Dark Lords because they have to. Everything's on the ban list.
Right, as it should be. As it
should be. So it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see where the deck goes for sure. Like you said, we are in a holding pattern because all of this could be irrelevant come the ban list, which is something we're expecting very, 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 very soon. Ban list plus new box. So it could all be irrelevant. We could be getting something that just completely stops that strategy or just stronger than that strategy in general. But that deck going first right now, like for example, let's say against Noble Knights, you go first, you set up your whole board, you're going to have 2 negates because you can set your trap cards because Noble Knights, they're not going to be playing Cosmic Cyclone at least game 1, right? They're probably going to have Book of Moon, if that. Or if you're just super unlucky, you'll run into that Noble Knight that's actually main decking Cosmic Cyclone. Probably not going to happen, though. So you're going to have 2 negates, plus you're going to have an Ouroboros turn 1 to rip a card out of the hand. That's too much.
Right. That's too much for any deck.
Yeah, it really is. So, and then let's just say they are playing Cosmic Cyclone. Okay, 1 negate plus Ouroboros is still way too much.
Still way too much. Yeah.
So
playing through 1 negate for most decks is too much. But then losing a card out of the hand, that's even worse.
Losing a card out of the hand, that's just super, 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 super painful. Even when we were just memeing with Ouroboros back when the selection box, me and Mango, me and -1, that card was just doing stupid things. So, it'll be interesting to see. And of course, he's a selection box card. So if you don't have him,
too bad.
Too bad. He's really strong.
Now, Herf was calling for Tez to 1. What do you think about that? Dark Lord Tez. I can't say his whole name, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean, I definitely think it's one of those situations where I would like to see some more community data before I'm like, all right, nerf Dark Lords. They don't deserve to be, in the metagame. But at the same time, Konami likes to nerf based on Casey Cup over everything.
Right.
And I've always been saying it for a long time. Dark Lords don't deserve destruction prevention.
Right.
Like, why do they have something like that when
right.
they're constantly recycling? I'm pretty sure we saw in the finals even a Dark Lord player just play through getting TTH. She was like, oh, hey, I got TTH anyway. So then I made 3 monsters. It's like, why he doesn't, and Tez is very powerful, and it's kind of like how Blackbird close, right? Like the card could still technically be played, but no one in their right mind would do that. So you just never see it anymore when it got nerfed. It'd be the same with Tez. I'm always down for Dark Lords to get nerfed because it's not a deck I necessarily want to see come back and become.
No, it was just too dominant for too long, and Konami just let it go on. It's like, know this is happening. What are you doing? Do something about it. It went on for months.
I mean, I'd rather have this variant of Dark Lords than any other variant we've had. My only concern is like what happens when you enter the mirror match, right? Where now everyone's playing it and the game is slowing down again. And the worst thing you can do for a game like Duel Links is have a deck that's just not fun, like for hires. Where it's like everyone's using it, it's not that fun, and people are quitting over it. It's just not that exciting.
Well, I was gonna say, at least with that deck, things were quick, and sometimes you'd see some brutal plays. The only thing brutal about Dark Lords was the length of the matches, because it was just like, oh my god, Dark Lord mirror, here we go.
Yeah,
you might as well order dinner.
I mean, again, the duels are ending quickly because of the Star Seraph. I don't want to misappropriate the deck. It's not actually taking forever right now, but my concerns are for the future.
If there's a lot of mirrors,
if the mirror happens, if because like the way you counter Dark Lords is playing more Fiendish Chains, DD, like all those types of cards, which are going to end up making the game longer.
Right.
Which I personally believe right now the speed of the game right now is really, really nice. I'd like to keep that speed.
Right.
In the game, I wouldn't want it to get any shorter. Wouldn't want to get any longer. Right now, where we are, I think we should chill.
I like that the back row is being used, but it's not a back row meta right now.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of disrupts the back row or the balance of back row is Trunade. Trunade still being a card. Let's go, Konami. We'll have to see if this next upcoming ban list is going to add even more limit 2s for decks like Onomats just to make them lose. Trunade, probably what's going to happen. At this point, it's just really come on, ban Trunade, It's not even a matter of is Trunade healthy or not. It's just a matter of every deck that ends up using it anyway gets a limit 2. So why not just cut out the middleman and take Trunade out?
Because then they'll just start playing Tretch or something, right? There's always going to be a limit 2 that you're going to play.
TTH is coming back. TTH is really strong in the metagame right now. We see it in lots of decks that can't use it. Thunder Dragons are still doing their thing, but also struggle against this new Dark Lord deck, so we'll have to see. Waters died off. Rip Waters.
Yeah, that was a quick. Well, it only had basically like one play that you could do twice.
Yeah, well, their success was literally dependent on Blue Eye's success, right?
Right.
And,
easy matchup. Yeah, easy to lock them out of their graveyard.
Yeah, and now people are just like, well, why play Blue Eyes when I can play any of these other decks?
Right.
So I think it's kind of funny. It's like it kind of came in, killed the Blue Eyes, and because the Blue Eyes died, now they're also dying. But it is. I mean, Waters is basically Shiranui, right? So they would be one of the decks to look to if we need to stop a Dark Lord menace type of situation. Honestly, though, maybe just invoke Neos would work even better. I don't know.
Don't. We don't want to go backwards here.
This is why. Yeah, well, this is what I mean. This is why I kind of like. Yeah, right now Dark Lords ain't a problem, but the decks that would beat and counter Dark Lords are the ones I don't want in the metagame.
Right.
Because then because that would happen, then Dark Lords would play the stall because they can, which they should. If you can, you should definitely do to always try and.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with just the infinite loop life point gain. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll definitely see. And obviously, like maybe the deck doesn't pick up steam whatsoever. Maybe people just are still gonna try and figure out how to play it. I don't think so. I think people are gonna try and play it. It really does seem powerful because it was powerful without a side deck, and with a side deck, we were seeing things like Lancia being added to the deck and stuff like that. Just cards that just make the deck even better, right? Lancia is very powerful in Dark Lords because, as we all know, having your trap cosmic is a huge downside to setting it. So most of the time you only get 1 negate versus 2 negates. But if you have Lancia in your hand, you put that trap card down safely because you're like you play Cosmic Cyclone, you're just paying 1,000 life for no reason.
Yeah.
So Bowser is really good against them. So that's like a way. That's why I think Thunder Dragons at least have a pretty good shot at taking out the Dark Lord Menace as being like the top deck. It all kind of just comes down because we saw, I think it was the finals again, where he couldn't stop Levianeer, he couldn't stop anything because for him to go and negate, he would run right into Bowser and lose the game. So he was just getting controlled the whole time. But on the flip side, just book a Moon the Bowser, dude. What's the problem? Just book a Moon so it can't do anything, and then you lose. So, and it's really easy to pick up tech cards with the Dark Lord deck. So, we'll see. Only time will tell, and it's also hard to tell. The next week after KC Cup because everyone's recovering. And it may take up to 2 weeks for us to really see if Dark Lords will take over, and by then we just may be in the middle of a ban list, so it may be irrelevant at that point.
Now, the new player video came out today, and I always take a lot of heat because there's a certain card in there that I recommend every video. How is that card doing? Do we even need to say that name out loud?
The C word, you can't say it.
Don't say it out loud.
Canadia. Oh my god. Yeah, no, that card's good. Obviously, it's really strong in an Exceeds era. The water deck that we just talked about that's dying currently. It still sees plays. I think it got a top on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. One person topped with it. The thing with itself is when it gets detached for Exceeds purposes, it doesn't get banished. So you can endlessly keep summoning it for the purpose of exceeding with it. We see that happen in the water deck. And as we get stronger rank 2s, which we will eventually have to get. Konami can't keep them forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Canadia is only going to get better.
Well, we saw Neg1 playing it, right, in the MCS.
-1 played it with Balance Noble Knights. It's very powerful for that purpose as well.
Because you can get it out of the graveyard. You can get your Noble Knight trap out of the graveyard, and then you can keep playing your Tretch then.
Yeah, so
and that's what he was using it for.
It's still powerful because until we get a card like Casitas that can't be targeted, that's in the meta firmly, not something like Saber Dancer that's more of a rogue deck strategy that only works against random decks, and then you die to Desperado in the top cut. Until something like that comes along, Canadia is just going to be here permanently. It's either Floodgate or Canadia in the metagame, one or the other. They're not. We're never going to be in a meta where just both are bad, and you're not going to play either one.
And as long as Noble Knights are around, Canadia is going to be just fine.
Yeah, you won't be playing Floodgate right now. It's everything just plays around your Floodgate or gets decimated by Floodgate. Or, just Floodgate doesn't do too much, unfortunately.
All right, now that you defended the new player video a little bit for me, thank you. Was there anything you wanted to get into?
No, like you said, in a holding pattern. We could talk about decks like Automats and Noble Knights flailing even a little bit. Noble Knights especially have been having a rough time post KCC.
Why is that? Everybody's just ready for him now.
Everyone's ready for him. I think the meta is also moving on a little bit, which is good, which is what we want to see. We want to see the meta keep continuously improve. It's not as simple as go first, set up your board, and win the game anymore. There's also a lot of people, that are trying out the Dark Lord strategy, which is like really bad for them. Even if they go as first into that, it can be very, very annoying to play around. Obviously, if they have even one negate ready, Dresden can't do anything. It's just hard to. There's just too many effects going off at that point. So I think we may be seeing the final fall of Noble Knights here. Especially if people start playing more OTK focused Automats. On the flip side, Automats are not OTKing Dark Lords. It's just not happening. We literally saw someone get walled off by 2 defense mode Dark Lords because he got Tezzed. He got Tezzed through the Gaga Bolt, and then it was like, okay, I can M7 and bounce one back to hand, but my options to bounce back to hand are Ixchel or Nastin. I don't want either of those in your hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was just a very one of those situations where it's like, okay, I make M7, bounce back to your hand. My monsters are too weak because your Ixchel is 2,900 defense. Your Amdusk is 2,800 defense. Why is everything so goddamn tanky? And we talked about this before, where Noble Knight Brothers at 2,400 defense was enough of a wall to buy you turns against Automats. Well, now you've got monsters that are summoning multiple times a turn for free that have more than 2,400 defense.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Automats with Dark Lords in the metagame, because they were already kind of fragile and glass cannony to begin with. So you really don't want to mess with them in terms of giving them a deck that's not only counters them, but it's Dark Lords, right? It's like right. You don't want to be countered by Dark Lords because they're so consistent with banishment of the Dark Lords. That card is just absolutely insane. One of the best cards in all of Duel Links, really.
I mean, if they go first, what if they right now on the screen the guy's got Bouncer and Roach out on the field? Would that be enough to deal with it?
Not really, because Roach doesn't really stop anything. Everything starts a chain. Even Nastin starts a chain link on summon, and he's summoning himself. You know what I mean? So Roach isn't really going to do a whole lot, if we're being totally honest. And then Bouncer's good to stop an effect, for sure. But I do believe that Book of Moon is kind of a staple card in that version of the deck. The only saving grace is that it's expensive, right? You need the Ouroboros, you need Book of Moon, you need cards like that. So, we'll see how many people actually end up playing it.
So, Noble Knights aren't going to be running rampant, but still a strong deck in the meta.
Yeah, they'll still be relevant in the metagame. They're kind of good. They're going to be kind of they'll be kind of like the actual Shiranui of this format, I feel. Where
they're always going to be around. They're always going to be a good steady.
They'll be like that baseline power. I do think they're going to get hit by the ban list, but I don't think anything on the ban list is going to straight up murder them. The worst case scenario, right? I feel, other than them totally murdering the deck, is they change balance, make it unplayable, and they do something so that we can only play 2 copies of the trap card, which I think is what they're going to hit, and we lose our limits. And if they do all of that, the deck's still playable. So,
right,
well playable. It'll be kind of like when Kara Curry got its first hit. How it still got a lot of play. It just wasn't winning as many tournaments as it was doing before.
Right, but I mean, if you're not a competitive player, just playing ladder or something like that,
you'll be fine. If you're a ladder player, you'll be fine. You're $20 well spent. You'll be okay.
Because I think a lot of people see these videos and we're talking about decks, and a lot of times what we're talking about here is tournament meta. And, but a lot of times we talk about this because you can take all these techniques or concepts and use these decks for the ladder and just destroy people because these are well-tested decks. Maybe you don't have to worry about side decking or anything, but when you see
what we're talking about affects 32 people a tournament. That's
right. The top 32. Yeah.
So unless you're one of those people, you don't have to worry about that. You're chilling.
Right.
You're right. You can, as long as you have a deck that has a positive win rate, everything you want to do in game. If you're not playing tournaments, you are totally fine. Even up to Casey Cup, you're totally fine.
Yeah, you just have to win 55% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Dark Lords are the story of the week. We'll have to see again next week what happens because our tournaments are starting to wind back up. I believe we're starting today as this video comes out. Thursday, we have a battle phase of the Rising Sun.
Rising Sun.
And then we'll be right back into battle phase Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right back into it. So we'll have lots of data by the next time we do this.
Yeah, by next week we'll know for sure. And I'm already ready for it. We're gonna be in the middle of recording and then ban list, and then all that entire video is just dead.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that, ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here, but you know what you should do? You should get in the Discord because it's free. The tournaments are free. New player help is free. Oh, you know what, Rye?
What?
Did you know this? Maybe we'll put this at the beginning of the video. You ready to do the intro bit?
I'm ready. What are you doing?
Did you know that like over half the people that are watching this video are not subscribed?
What? Well, what are they doing then? Are they just not subscribing?
They should be subscribing so that they know when our videos come out, right?
I heard when you subscribe, you earn at least 2 times as more King of Games per year than you normally do.
Wow, that's amazing. So we would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel because we're almost at 9,000 subs right now, and that is amazing. That's because of everybody out there watching us, and we really appreciate it. Let's go for 10,000 by the end of March. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think someone said I had to shave my head if we got 10,000 by the end of March, so I'm down.
Oh, we're doing that. We're doing that. All right, so let's shave Rye's head by the end of March, all right? We're going to get out of here. I'm Circus. That's Rye.
Bye, YouTube.
We'll see you next time.